Barnaby Joyce invoked the name of his opposite number, Joel Fitzgibbon, in making that announcement, as we said, under caretaker conventions. But how much involvement and consultation did Mr Fitzgibbon have? Well, he's just scrambled into Canberra from interstate for a debate tonight in Goulburn with Barnaby Joyce and the Greens' Richard Di Natale. We spoke to Joel Fitzgibbon a moment ago. Well, Joel Fitzgibbon, this is a substantial package at about $500 million. It's been made in caretaker mode. Just take us back to when you became aware of the details and when you actually ticked off on this package.
I've only seen media reports, basically. I have been able to secure a briefing from the department this afternoon where I'll learn more about what Barnaby Joyce has done this morning. But it's very disappointing because a week ago now, 3 weeks into the crisis, Barnaby Joyce declared to the world that he's not able to do anything because we're in election mode. Then 25 hours later, he wrote to me formally and said, look, I want you to jump on board. And I thought, great, because anything we promise as a package could be implemented in 6 weeks' time if we are elected. The government can do something now. So I welcomed his hand of bipartisanship, but sadly, he never came back, and I indicated we would do. I said, you have my authority to just progress this package. As long as it's meaningful and appropriate, we will support it, but keep me in the loop. Sadly, he's never got back to me.
And when you say that was, how long ago?
That was Friday. Now,
right, because he said today, we've been in correspondence with Joel. He's been very decent about this. It's a bipartisan position. Joel said, yep, let's get cracking. But exactly. That's not on the specifics of the package you're saying. That was in the broad about doing something.
That's right. He wrote to me embellishing the things that he claimed he'd already done, which was nil, basically. And then spent a little bit of time giving me a vague idea of the sort of things he had in mind, including concessional loans. And I just said, look, a bit disappointed in this letter. 60% of it is giving yourself a rap for things you haven't done, and you haven't told me anything meaningful. Notwithstanding that, Labor will not do anything that could delay a government package. So just do it, but I expect to be consulted along the way. And I use the words an appropriate and meaningful package, and there's a big question mark over the word meaningful in terms of what he released this morning.
All right, well, let's get to those specifics. It has come out now under Turnbull Coalition team letterhead, but it is, as we understand it, a caretaker government announcement. What's wrong with it?
Well, the headline figure is what?
$555 million is the big concessional loans.
What Barnaby Joyce has done there is what he always does. He did it in his white paper. He takes the total headline value of a loan or loans over a number of years and then quotes that figure as the government's contribution to this package. If I lend you $100 on interest, I'm getting the money back. I'm not spending $100. I'm making money on interest. And in fact, these concessional loans are lent out at an interest rate higher than the government's borrowing cost.
2.66%, but it's cheaper than money they could currently access, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know, the operative word or the important words Barnaby Joyce uttered this morning were these: if you can prove you are eligible. Now, these concessional loans have been a failure in the past. We had an Australian National Audit Office report only a fortnight ago saying that they had been badly designed and administered by the government. But look, I welcome the concessional loans as part of a package, but on their own, they are not enough. We have to focus on cash flow. Farmers need cash in their pockets so they can pay the bills and keep the banks from the front gate. That's what they need.
What does that entail then, a grant of some sort?
Well, I think concessional loans can be part of the mix, but I did a rough back-of-the-envelope calculation on what the concessional loan might be worth in cash flow terms to a farmer, and Barnaby Joyce says, oh, they're interest only. Well, of course, the bank loans are interest only too, because these are tax-deductible loans. And a smart farmer doesn't pay down the capital on a loan which is tax-deductible. So, of course, they're going to be interest only. But the thing is,
so you've crunched some numbers on cash flow. What do you say?
I think being generous, taking averages and what the bank rate might be that farmers already have, a farmer might save between $100 and $150 a week if they were able to access these loans. And access is a big question because Barnaby Joyce opened drought loans in Victoria belatedly in about October 2015. And guess how many now have them? 13
This has
farming
been
families.
the subject of audit office reports.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, he hasn't outlined the criteria other than to say, oh, well, if you can prove you're eligible. Now, I don't know what the eligibility criteria, but those words have alarm bells ringing in my ears, because I suspect that nothing's changed and people aren't going to get access to these loans. And in the past, the process has been very slow. These people need help now. How long is this going to take?
So if you were able to shape those eligibility criteria, and you may in 6 weeks from now, what would you do? Set the bar very low, would you?
I'm not announcing policy because I need a briefing from the department, because we don't have the resources to assess what sort of demand, you know, how many farmers would take up the offer, etc. But on eligibility, I would have thought it would be reasonable to suggest that anyone who's been had a contract with Murray Goulburn and Fonterra, and therefore has been affected retrospectively and now has a huge debt to those companies, would be eligible for the loan. Bingo.
Automatically?
Well, automatically. If you've been affected retrospectively, you're eligible for the loan. But you need a suite of packages, Greg. And now look, Greg, Barnaby Joyce is taking credit for tidying up farm household allowance. Now, farm household allowance is unemployment benefit for farmers, and that's a good thing. It's always been around. It has a more generous income and assets test, so people don't have to worry about big farm assets denying them. We've been telling Barnaby Joyce for months now that people who are eligible just can't secure these allowances. Now, he's taking credit today for saying that he's going to fix that. Well, Greg, we don't give him reward or prizes for fixing something he should have fixed 6 months ago.
All right. Now, other individual elements, any problems with $20 million to fast-track the irrigation hardware in the McAllister Irrigation District, extra financial counselling support? What's the attitude towards some of those?
We support everything that's in this package as a contribution to the needs of farmers, but I think farmers will be very disappointed it falls short. And everything beyond the concessional loans, the farm household allowance, which was there anyway, and arguably additional rural financial counsellors, which are important, but the states are stumping up there. Everything beyond those is medium to long term. You know, the Dairy Australia's program for helping farmers work through planning and restructuring issues, that's not going, that might help a farmer in a year's time or 2 years' time. We all hope that this crisis will be over by then. So really, it's only the concessional loans, a few extra counsellors, states are doing that anyway, and fixing around farm household allowance what he should have fixed a long time ago. Now, if he embraced my proposition to force the Murray Goulburn board to change the profit sharing mechanism so that the investors from whom Murray Goulburn raised capital took a bit of a hit and transferred that money back in the form of a higher milk price for cooperative members, that would have an immediate cash flow effect for farmers. And of course, because Fonterra links its milk price to Murray Goulburn, Fonterra farmers would get some benefit as well.
Well, I think as some people have pointed out, your suggestion on that front ignores the fact that some of the investors were co-op members themselves.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the non-farm investors. We're talking about the Collins and Pitt Street investors who, you know, count this as this bigger part of their portfolios. Now, they've already taken a bit of a hit because the value of their unit has dropped. But Greg, they're not going to miss out on a meal or have the bank move in because they forego a dividend for a couple of years. But that same amount of money can make the world of difference to a farmer. Now, it's amazing it's been revealed that the Murray Goulburn board considered this option. They knew it was legally available to them, and they decided to put the Collins Street investors in front of the struggling farmers. I find that inconceivable.
Yeah, well, that's one to be argued out elsewhere, I suppose. Just finally, tonight you're off to a debate that will be televised on ABC News 24. Do you reckon you present more of an opponent to Barnaby Joyce than Johnny Depp? He's still engaged in hand-to-hand combat with the Hollywood star.
Well, Johnny Depp's doing a pretty good job, and we've got to remember that business about the dogs was already being handled by the authorities. You know, when something's wrong, Barnaby Joyce goes missing. When he sees an opportunity for some publicity, he runs out to the cameras. But tonight, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be gloves off between me and Barnaby, you can be sure about that. And I reckon it's compulsory viewing.
Let's see if you can make him as red as a tomato, which is Johnny Depp's observation. Joel Fitzgibbon, thanks so much.
It's a pleasure.